Okay, hello and welcome back once again. This is the moment you've been waiting for. The Axis My India, India Today exit poll final numbers on Bihar.
And completely contrary to Panditri so far, Axis My India and India Today are projecting and will put out the vote share and the seat share numbers one by one, starting with the projected vote share numbers in Bihar. 39% vote share for the NDA. Rajdeep, they were hoping for around 43 to 45.
44% for the Mahagathbandhan. So there's a 5% gap, Rahul, and now it clearly means in a predominantly two-party or two-alliance race, when there's a 5% gap, that's outside in a way the margin of error. And LJP 7%. So damaging in a way, because 7% could have made all the difference.
But the GDSF, you need to pay attention to this party because this is Kushwaha, Mayawati and OVC together. The NDA's calculation was they'll be around 8 to 10. They're 6% less. If they'd pulled away more of the Gathbandhan vote, the anti-government vote, then the situation could have been slightly different. It in the end isn't. Let's call up now for the first time the seat share numbers.
Okay, so as you look at it, 39%, 44%, 7%. Imagine if that 7% was with the NDA, they would be 46%, assuming that the LJP would take its votes to the NDA. GDSF, as you said,
they would have taken majority of the votes.
Sure, Kushwaha's 8% of Bihar's population, remember, but 4% only of the votes, 6% others. But the big question, how is all of this translating into the real numbers? 243 member assembly in Bihar, and the first big number, Rahul, is?
The NDA is projected, according to Axis My India and India Today, to bag only between 69 and 91 seats, which means Badlav ki bahar hai in Bihar this time.
Which means the halfway point around 80. Look at this, 139 to 161 for the Mahagathbandhan. Tejashwi Yadav, if our numbers hold, at 31 years, will be the youngest chief minister that Bihar has ever had. Lalu's son has stepped out of his father's shadow. Clearly, he is the man to watch. 139 to 161, which means halfway point, Rahul, is 152,
122.
150.
150 is the midpoint of this. Yes.
So midpoint means that effectively you're inching towards a two-thirds majority. Top end is a two-thirds majority.
When he was in the IPL with the Delhi Daredevils, he was a failed cricketer.
He was.
But when he's in the Indian political league, leading his own team into the battlefield for the first time without the shadow of his father, Tejashwi Yadav has just won the IPL of Bihar according to the Axis My India.
Let's put all those numbers out, because remember, LJP 3 to 5, and that means that while Chirag is getting 7% vote, he's only getting 3 to 5 seats.
That's not what is important, Rajdeep, in the case of Tejashwi Yadav. Tejashwi Yadav, ladies and gentlemen, according to this poll, could damage the NDA's prospects. Chirag Paswan could damage the NDA's prospects in between 30 to 42 seats. The gap between the winner and the runner-up is less than the vote share registered by the LJP candidate. Remember, Axis My India is a seat-by-seat poll.
Sure, and let's look at the others who are also 3 to 5. So clearly the others are taking vote percentage, their vote katwas, they are not getting enough seats. And given these numbers, they probably would not have made that much of a difference as they were hoping. What would Chirag's ideal situation be? A hung assembly where the BJP becomes dependent. That's not happening, because when you look at these numbers, Rahul, and now we look at it over 243 seats. When you look at over 243 seats, as you spread it across Bihar, when one side has as much as 139 to 161, it's a done deal. Let's look at all the numbers. As we spread them across, this is how the map of Bihar, we believe, could well be on the 10. 243 seats on offer, but clearly it is the Mahagathbandhan well ahead.
But just add, Rajdeep, on the upper range of the NDA, the 91,
yes,
the 40-odd seats on which the LJP is making the NDA lose,
sure,
it takes you past 130, which essentially means that LJP on the NDA ticket could have made a big difference. Letting Chirag go was unwise. It's impacted the NDA's fortunes. On the other side, the GDSF didn't make as much of an impact as was hoped. That's impacting the NDA's fortunes as well. And Tejashwi Yadav is the winner of the Indian political league in Bihar according to this poll.
And the interesting thing is, when I interviewed him 4 or 5 days ago, he said, remember, 10th of November is the IPL final, 10th of November is the Bihar Premier League final. आप आइएगा, जो भी IPL जीतेगा, बिहार प्रीमियर लीग की ट्रॉफी हम लेकर जाएंगे. So Bihar Premier League, as of now, appears to have gone clearly.
No, but
with
also,
Tejashwi.
what's the meaning, Rajdeep, of this verdict? In a few weeks, the people of the state can help our leader rise. Just 6 months ago, during the COVID pandemic, Tejashwi Yadav was being mocked outside, was being questioned inside the RJD. People were saying he's lazy, he's in his farmhouse, he's not going out. And within those weeks of the campaign, Tejashwi Yadav's campaign picked up such momentum that he is now the numero uno choice for the people of Bihar.
Let's get first reactions. Pawan Kheda, first political reactions. Pawan Kheda, Nalin Kohli joining us at this moment with their first reactions. Let's get in Pawan Kheda, because Congress hasn't always had too much to smile about. But in 2020, you could be winning the big election. Pawan Kheda, your first reactions.
Well, Rajdeep, that's a very unfair remark. We are always smiling because there's always something to smile about. As a principle, I don't go by exit polls or opinion polls, you know it, even if they support us, even if they are making us win, because the mood on the ground was absolute change, and it was a very furious mood on the ground for change. They were angry, and there was also hope in the way the narrative was set by the Mahagathbandhan. I think these twin factors have helped the Mahagathbandhan to reach the figure that your exit poll is showing, and I'm sure the figure would definitely, with some authority I am saying, will cross this number also.
You're saying you'll cross this number. Nalin Kohli, first reactions, mood for Badlav, Parivartan in the air, BJP, JDU being swept up aside by the Mahagathbandhan.
I'm sorry, but Rajdeep, I've just been connected to your show, so I missed what are the figures you are putting. So would you just enlighten me?
You won't be very happy with the figures in any case.
Rahul, why don't you
Nalin,
give the figures?
You know, the situation, unfortunately, according to this Access My India, India Today poll is that Bihar has voted for Badlav. Badlav not just in a hung fashion, but Badlav in a dramatic fashion. The Gathbandhan expected to bag between 139 to 161 seats, 150 being the midpoint of that range, suggesting Nitish Kumar is going down and he's taking the BJP down with him.
Well, we'll wait, of course, as we always do, for the results. I mean, I have 3 or 4 points to say. To me, it seems a little unlikely that the NDA, which is the BJP and the JDU combined, which had got almost 46% of votes in Lok Sabha, would be reversed so badly within a span of less than a year. And second is the RJD, which was at, approximately 15% vote share, and the Congress at 7%, which means about 23%, would be able to cross the 40-figure mark. That is too dramatic a change that seems unlikely that we would have missed. So let us wait to see. It
Sure.
could be
We're very happy to wait and see. Let's get first reactions from all our guests. Quick, short reaction. Swapan Das Gupta, is this a wave election? If these numbers hold, would you believe this is the kind of election where the BJP could have done nothing to arrest the wave?
Well, if these figures hold, then certainly it's a pretty resounding and an emphatic victory for the Mahagathbandhan, more particularly the RJD. I think there's no doubt about that. May I just methodologically just make one possible question mark, which is that I think I heard Rahul saying that these are done by a constituency to constituency basis. That means you've actually sampled almost every constituency in Bihar. Now, the logic of sampling in these polls is that there is a greater possibility of error in smaller the unit there is. So I would just like to put that caveat there. So it's possible
Can I just explain to Swapan and to everyone watching, it's an important point that Swapanda makes, and the answer, sir, is this, that when our pollsters go into a particular constituency, they have a base sample that needs to be done, which is about 500 votes. So you have to, in every constituency, touch about 500 votes. If in that you get a clear picture, you come back saying, okay, we've understood what's happening in whatever that constituency is. If you come back with a confused, ambiguous picture, then you go back again till you try and get a clearer picture of what could have happened. So they go and re-poll in that particular constituency, which is why, if you look, Rajdeep, on a seat-by-seat accuracy rate, there's about a 78 to 80% accuracy rate historically since 2013.
I think, look, the numbers could change. The trend is very clear. And I think that is the challenge of a pollster, to pick up the trend. Eventually translating, percentage into seats can be a nightmare at times. But Sandeep Shastri, your first reactions to our poll. Let's go across the table. 30 seconds each to everyone. Sandeep, your first reactions.
Yeah, it seems quite likely, at least given what were suggested in the first, second and third round. I only would add 2 points, Rajdeep. In the 69 to 91 of the NDA, it looks as if BJP will get the lion's share, and in the 139 to 161 of the Gathbandhan, it will be RJD. So Congress and JDU seem to be in our exit poll the real losers, and the RJD and the BJP seem to be the real gainers.
Javed Ansari, first reactions.
I'm not surprised. 10 days ago, it was evident that the Mahagathbandhan was racing ahead. We can quibble about the numbers, but I'd be very surprised.
Why do you think? Anger against Nitish,
anger
economic
against
distress?
Nitish, economic distress, unemployment, anger in Nitish, and Tejashwi's ability to add to the MI combination.
Yes.
So a wave election for the MGB, as I see it, if these figures hold. And I would also say that we haven't spoken still about Mukesh Sahni, the Vikashsheel Insan Party, and the Hum. Therefore, all theories about arithmetic really not doing so well for the NDA. The NDA needs to think on the board about what it needs to do for the Ati Pichda or the extremely backward caste categories, given the fact that the JDU is now in decline.
JDU in decline. Rahul Verma.
Arithmetic is sufficient but never, necessary but never sufficient to win elections.
Are you telling me this is a chemistry election more than arithmetic?
No, I'm not saying chemistry. See, you may have numbers stacked behind you, but you also need a platform to mobilize. You need some leader to energize the base. Nitish in this election never looked like a man who's going to energize his own base.
Rajat?
Well, if these numbers hold, but I have serious doubts, because the voters in Bihar are generally very silent. Eliciting a response from them is really difficult, and most of these opinion polls are actually conducted over telephone. Therefore, keeping that caveat in mind, I still feel that NDA will be able to skate through. If you look at the poll of polls and add this poll as well in that tally, I still believe it will be a tightly contested election.
Having said that, Having said that, Rajat, remember 2010 one-sided poll went completely with Nitish and the BJP. 2015 Lalu and Nitish on one side. 2020. So Bihar in recent times has had a sort of history, even Lok Sabha, going one way or the other. And that's the interesting part, that even in a fragmented election, you can have a one-sided election. But I know that you don't want to. I don't know whether you drink, Pawan Verma, whether you're going to pop the bubbly ahead of
charge. Can't
charge.
You have to give him charge. Nothing more than charge.
Prohibition state.
That doesn't stop a politician from popping the bubbly occasionally. But Pawan Khera, am I to understand that the Congress is a little cautious at the moment, that the Mahagathbandhan is worried about some of the caveats that we are putting in this poll? Or is this something that you are convinced about?
As I said, Rajdeep, on the 10th, when the results come, this number will look very conservative, because we are way ahead on the ground. I've been there for a month, and from a distance, one is always be able to watch more clearly. From a distance, it looked as though this was a tsunami election and not a wave election. Anger, hope, a lot of emotions there. And Bihar has definitely sent a message, not just to the ruling party at the center, also to the ruling party at the state, to us politicians, and also to you people in the media, to all of us. There is a clear message. Well, I hope we take that message seriously.
I want to spend the next 2 minutes just explaining the import of these numbers to our viewers. Because for the longest time in Bihar, the RJD's vote bank was the Muslim and the Yadavs. M plus Y. This election, that abbreviation has changed. It's now MYY. We've got the Muslim, the Yadav, and the youth. Voters between 18 and 25 have disproportionately voted across caste lines for the RJD and the Congress. which is why, apart from the Muslims and the Yadavs, which have seen huge consolidation, if you compare with the upper caste, the level of consolidation is not as strong as it is for the RJD and the Congress. Upper caste have fragmented to some extent. Late 50s, early 60s, some of the upper caste votes being chipped away by the LJP candidates. But the Muslims and Yadavs have strongly consolidated behind the RJD and the Congress. That's take number one. Takeaway number two, the CPIML's presence has made a huge difference. And in, especially on English news television, enough isn't said or understood about the significance of the Malay. On their own, they used to win a few seats. But when their vote, very strong, committed vote share gets added to the Gathbandhan ticket, it has in several pockets of Bihar made the critical difference, adding to the Muslims and the Yadavs the crucial Dalit vote, which otherwise may or may not have come to, because remember, in various villages in Bihar, Dalits often are antagonistic with the Yadavs, which leads to a 36 ka ankhda, and the Malay coming on the same ticket has added that Dalit vote, Rajdeep, to this.
I want to add one factor, and I think this is the uniqueness of this poll, at least, if this turns out to be right. Just the youth. I think we mentioned it before. I do not think I have ever seen such a sharp variation between if you are under 35 and over 35 in voting percentage. I can go through all the polls over the years. This is something unique. And this is a worrying sign for the BJP. Because remember, BJP has always believed that the younger you are, the more likely you are to vote for the BJP. You've seen it even in the general election. Mr. Modi outscored the Congress much more among 18 to 30 age group than he did over the age group over 55. So for Nalin Kohli, that's the worry. That if the youth are cutting across caste lines and saying economic distress, unemployment is our #1 issue, this should worry you. Because it is, you don't have easy solutions to the job crisis. And this is despite all the schemes of the center and the state of direct delivery. If these numbers hold, clearly shows the distress is much greater than your government at times is willing to accept.
If these numbers hold, as you have said, in part, we've been on several shows over the last few decades. And we can just say that to pick up one state election and extrapolate it to the whole country is not just oversimplification, it's a non-understanding of the India's varied democracy. So I think I won't extrapolate any result in victory.
Concede if these numbers hold that the government needs, that economic distress is a huge factor. Forget fatigue against Nitish, forget anti-incumbency for a moment. Economic distress. Our poll shows 42% development, 30% unemployment, 11% prices. It's a killer. It's a killer. And I just wonder whether you all recognize that in COVID times, because remember there are 4 big elections coming up in less than 5 months.
No, but Rajdeep, can I present a quick counter, which is this? You're saying it's anti-BJP, it's not. It's
no, I'm not anti-BJP. I said it is economic distress.
I'm explaining.
Yes.
I'm saying it's what was a disadvantage in Bihar may become an advantage in Bengal. Because there you've got anti-incumbency building up for what it's worth against Mamata Banerjee, and the same youth who've been hit by the pandemic, haven't got jobs, are feeling restless, could switch. So it's not as if it takes away from the BJP's belief that the youth are against them. What it shows is that Bijli, Sadak, Pani isn't enough. What did Tejashwi Yadav speak of in this election? He spoke of Kamai, Dawai, Padhai, Sichai, Mehengai. Bijli, Sadak, Pani is a given. I've got the road, I've got the electricity. Now give me employment. Now give me healthcare. Give me education. Give me irrigation and deal with inflation.
Rahul, you're right. I'm only going by data. Our data is showing such a huge gap between those who are over 35, because maybe for those over 35, they are more concerned, will this be Lalu Raj? Will Lalu be the backseat driver in a Tejashwi government? But the younger you are, the more likely you are in this election to vote against the NDA and for the Mahagathbandhan. Do you see this, Swapan Das Gupta, as a vote against the NDA or a vote for the Mahagathbandhan? Is it anyone but Nitish kind of election?
It is to a very substantial extent. You know, I mean, you were talking earlier about the hypothetical situation whereby the Lok Janshakti Party should have been inside the NDA. Now, yes, of course, ideally that should have been the case. But what was the issue on which the Lok Janshakti Party left the NDA? And that was on the question of the leadership of Nitish Kumar. Now, that was not really something which you could have negotiated in this situation. So, to a very large extent, it was the feeling that Mr. Nitish Kumar, however much he may have contributed in the past, may have outplayed his innings So it was that feeling everywhere. And I don't know why exactly this happened all of a sudden, but perhaps it's that aloofness which sometimes works in a situation, may not work in another situation. But again, there is...
But Swapanta, there's a factor that's worked in favor of the BJP in the Lok Sabha elections, which is that younger voters especially have gone beyond traditional caste affiliations and voted for the Prime Minister. In this assembly election, from the exit poll, it would seem that that's not restricted to Lok Sabha elections or to the Prime Minister himself and the BJP. It could happen against the NDA in state elections as well, where the same thing which in the Lok Sabha works for you, youngsters voting across caste, could hurt you in a state election.
You know, traditional affiliations don't seem to stick to the younger voters, which is why I say earlier I mentioned the boredom factor, which I think is very, very prevalent. And that's a sign of danger to any political party. It's not merely for the BJP, but it's for any other political party. Which, you know, if this sort of volatility is there, then a lot of calculations go completely awry.
But it's not one election. If I look post 2019 Maharashtra, where of course the BJP more or less held its own, and to be fair to it, got outmaneuvered in post-poll dealings that took place, but other states, Haryana, BJP down by about 20% between 2019 Lok Sabha and Vidhan Sabha. Jharkhand down by about 12% between Lok Sabha and Vidhan Sabha. And now also BJP was well over 50% in the Lok Sabha, is now down to what, 43%, 39%. So that's again a 12% drop that we are talking about. Sandeep Shastri, in state election after state election, the BJP not doing as well, or the BJP-led alliance as of now, as compared to Lok Sabha, where Mr. Modi is not on the ticket. The BJP is in trouble.
I will add a factor to that, Rajdeep. When the BJP is in a state election and is defending its government or a government of its alliance, they are facing a challenge. When the BJP enters a state election where they are in the opposition and taking on a ruling government, they always have an advantage. And I think in Bihar, very clearly, the BJP seems to be suffering the consequences of alliance partner who is not very popular. That's why I go back to the point I earlier made. In the 69 to 91 that you are projecting for the NDA, I suspect a bulk of that will be the BJP.
Yes, sir, but my point is, remember, Javed Ansari, 223 segments, the BJP, LJP, JDU led. The BJP around 100, JDU around 190 out of 243. 18 months later, they're not even crossing the three-figure mark as per our survey. I mean, are we saying there is such a big gap? Either the economic distress is far greater than anyone is willing to accept, or that the BJP only scores when Mr. Modi is on the ticket. Well, they need Mr. Modi.
Yes, both of the truth, I mean, both of it is true. Mr. Modi is a factor, but we are also sitting here in Delhi, we appear to be underestimating the kind of economic distress and the kind of impact it's had on people. Yeah. A friend of mine, a classmate of mine from my days in college told me when a month before this election was declared, he says, "Aap dekhna, they will be routed." There's so much of anger, you know, and I thought he was just.
But you think it's Bihar specific, or the anger stretches across states?
No, but
in a Bengal, Rahul Verma, as Swapan Dasgupta said, that anger could be against Mamta. She will be held responsible, let's say tomorrow, for mismanaging COVID or for unemployment. Is it that whoever is in power in the states is vulnerable in the times in which we live?
Yes. Post 2014 or around 2013, if you start looking at the data, it's, I think, the age of anti-incumbency has sort of like come back. Most of the state governments are getting sort of like defeated at the polls. And so don't put everything on economic distress of the pandemic, right? There are other things also developing. It's also rising expectations. Sure, economic distress matter, but also like some of these chief ministers have been in power for very, very long time. So compounded with economic distress, what you are seeing is basically throwing out.
And also see this vote, Rajat, for what it is, which is a vote against Nitish Kumar. Yeah. None of the respondents are saying that they don't like the BJP or the Prime Minister.
No, the Prime Minister's popularity is just as high.
That's what I'm saying. This is a vote against Nitish Kumar.
So we might as well see that BJP
would
comes
it be a
out.
vote against BJP or Prime Minister Modi? If this election is happening about Bihar,
Oh, absolutely.
so they are going to look at the
absolutely.
Chief Minister of
Yeah,
Bihar.
so this is the point that I'm trying to say, that BJP might still have the highest strike rate among all the parties that are contesting. So BJP
No, but that's no longer possible.
Yeah,
If
that's
out of 140
not in our, no. Let's assume, Rahul, that the JDU gets wiped out, gets only 15 seats, and the BJP gets 76.
No, it's not possible.
So basically, the silver line for BJP in this whole thing, if this comes out true, is that they can now go and bat on the front foot. So far, they have always been a second fiddle in this election, and
So
so
will they
many
jump
people,
Nitish Kumar? Will they
hardcore
jump Nitish
ideologues.
Kumar with these
No, I
numbers?
mean, something has to come out of this. No, it can't be status quo anymore. And this is where I believe a lot of my friends who are hardcore supporters of the BJP, a lot of my classmates from Kharagpur, because a lot of Biharis who study there, all of them said that please change the face. We still want...
Upper caste the ya kahan se the? That is
Mainly,
also important.
they are all kinds of people who work hard and
So you're
get
saying
into
that,
IITs.
okay, you know,
they are an aspirational class in Bihar which looks up to rising up the economic ladder.
You know,
they genuinely believe that this is the time when BJP
there were
should
two
rethink their
narratives
strategy.
therefore in Bihar. One was that post-COVID, when COVID struck, the Modi government gave you 5 kilos of rice or food grain to every family. Ravi Shankar Prasad says that 8 crore Biharis, that's 10 crore in the state, 8 crores have benefited from it. The claim is that Nitish Kumar gave 1,000 rupees for every migrant to every migrant family. During floods, 6,000 rupees were given. And the Modi government and indeed the state government has said, we've done direct delivery. This direct cash delivery will help us. Is it not helping if these are the numbers?
No, it is
Certainly
not.
not.
No, it is
A
not.
31-year-old greenhorn is defeating you in
So what we
Tejashwi.
need to understand that Bijli Sadak Pani, when Janta says fine done, they also say deliveries hua BJP ka. But what are they saying, for example? As we are talking about jobs, the biggest issue that Bihar Labour has said is train वापस अगर खुलवा देते, when the Yogi, तो हम वापस यहाँ से जा सकते थे. They said हमारे लिए नौकरियों के लिए पंजाब से प्लेन के टिकट्स भेजे जा रहे हैं. On the airport, I went and personally saw that Labour was coming back on aeroplane tickets, but trains to come back from Bihar to jobs not opened. They said Yogi Adityanath ने बस चलवा दिया.
No, but I want to know why is Modi? No, 1 minute.
Can I just complete this?
The lockdown has Mr. Modi, right? He was the one who brought in the lockdown. His popularity is as high as ever. Nitish Kumar is being blamed for the migrant crisis. Why?
Because he did not come out
He was
and
not
speak
seen
to
and
his
doing
people.
enough to
He
help
didn't
them.
quota
Step out of the
students.
Chief Minister's office.
So
also. That's also a fact.
बात नहीं किया.
Let me elaborate on that point that we are in the age of anti-incumbency. Think from 2013, West Bengal 2016, Gujarat 2017, Telangana 2018,
All won
Odisha
by the incumbent.
2019, Delhi 2020.
All won by the incumbent.
Only 6 governments in last 7 or 8 years have come back to power. In the first term between 2013 to 18, Modi as a challenger reaped benefit of that anti-incumbency wave.
Yes.
BJP basically went ahead and won most of the polls. Now, because NDA is in power in most states, they are now facing the brunt of that.
And look at how, I'll take his point forward, Rahul, which is that look at what happened in 2018, November, December. Congress wins Chhattisgarh, wins Rajasthan, wins Madhya Pradesh, all with opposition, all with BJP-led governments. 5 months later, in all these states, the BJP sweeps. You know, what I am astounded by is the voter is now separating state and general elections so sharply.
Yeah.
It's not as if they haven't done it in the past. Ramakrishna Hegde, I remember after after 84, one Karnataka, NTR, Andhra. But this level in state after state, there isn't I mean, Haryana was 4 months after 2019 and there was an 18-20% drop in the BJP's popularity. So you could have a situation, Rahul, where the BJP is controlling the center, but increasingly the states where it was in power, its hope will be what? By 2024, these will be Congress-ruled states and the anger will build against the Congress.
The reality that emerges from this poll is this, that the BJP voter wasn't enthused about being in partnership with the Janata Dal United. If you see the upper caste vote share, whether it is the Banyas, the Bhumihas, the Rajputs, the Brahmins, who typically would in a Lok Sabha election 75-80% vote for the BJP in this election, the NDA has bagged only 64% of the Banya vote, 51% of the Bhumihar vote, 54% of the Rajput vote, 62% of the Brahmin vote. Compare and contrast this with the consolidation seen amongst the Muslims or the Yadavs, where as far as the Yadav votes are concerned, the Gadbandhan picked up 83% of the vote. 8 out of 10 Yadavs voted for the Gadbandhan. Whereas